Faces of Jamal. Welcome. How are you doing today, Jamal?
I'm doing fantastic. I just got done watching all these matches, and it's just like overload. Boom.
Okay. So before we started recording, you were doing a rendition of the Thunder intro. I would like to hear it right now for the people. I'm just saying. It was a pretty good rendition of a one-man show of Thunder's intro.
So it was just like all you hear is like a thunder. It's like da-da-dum. And then it'd be like they're like and then it comes. You see the freaking on the screen, and it's like Lex Luger, Sting, and they're just like screaming, and it's like all the shit that's happening on Nitro, not Thunder. Yeah. It's happening on Nitro as the promo, and then it's like do 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 because it was the 90s, so they had to do that.
You gotta do the you gotta do a little of that there. There's something funny about the 90s. No matter what kind of song it is, it can be R&B, hip hop, it can be slow jam. Just someone has to go and scratch the record a few times. But today we are talking about Booker T, Chris Benoit, Best of 7 series back in 1998, and we will mention the reboot in WWE in 2005/2006. Jamal, this is the first time you've seen these set of matches. What are your thoughts of just in general the style, WCW's presentation, and everything about it?
So, obviously this is like a younger version of Benoit and Booker T, right? This is Booker T with the flat top and the Harlem Heat with not the straps, the Harlem Heat not with the straps. I'm saying he's getting his singles run going on. And I don't know if Stevie Ray joined the NWO yet or not. I'm not sure.
I think we're done with Stevie Ray and the NWO. That was my I think he was done already. And I think he's semi-retired at this point.
Okay, so
it's not fully retired.
It's just Booker T on his own.
It's solo Booker run.
Yeah, and this is him trying to get into a scene. At the time there was the United States Championship, the world title, but those were all yapped up by the bigger stars. So they had this. He was too big for a cruiserweight. So he had to go after the TV title, which underrated title in WCW, by the way.
I've only associated the television title in WCW as just it Disco Inferno's title or something. I never actually cared. I know it's bigger than that, but I didn't care about the TV title at all. And the only TV title I appreciated at the time was the ECW TV title that Rob Van Dam was carrying and holding down. And so when they were doing this match, and at the time I was a huge Harlem Heat fan, and I know Eric at the time was a huge Chris Benoit fan, and it was just like, oh, this is colliding, and it was like a series made. It seemed like for us, our rivalry, oh man. And I know Eric supported Booker, but Benoit was his boy from when he was riding with the Four Horsemen and whatnot. And I didn't know what to expect for this because I was like, I think this is my first experience with any type of best of 7 series. And I was like, am I going to, even as a kid, as 14, 15, 13, whatever I was like, I'm going to get annoyed and bored with these things. I don't want to see this every week because they had already had a series of matches already before this that ended in time limit draws, countouts, and whatnot.
And all this other stuff. And he was just talking about how he's better than him. And he's like, no, you can't beat me fair and square and all this bull crap. So then they just made a best of 7. And it just so happened that, whoever won this best of 7 series was going to be the number 1 contender for the TV title, which, Booker T eventually ends up winning and then becoming Mr. TV champion on WCW programming. So, This
feeling is currently the champion, and he will be brought up multiple times in this feud. He doesn't do anything really. He's having matches on the side, having on a weekly basis, just like them. And it's a little side story telling that this is a fighting champion. that either Booker T or Chris Benoit is going to fight, that he's going to fight alongside of their best of 7, which they're going to do multiple times a week. So
shout out to him, man, because like he actually went out there every week and defended and did what he had to do to remain.
My favorite thing about this is that they would have these matches, Benoit and Booker T, and it's the best of 7 and number 1 contender for the TV title. There was never a doubt in the mind of the commentators that Ben Finley was going to lose to any of these jobbers. That they were like, oh, the winner gets to fight Ben Finley. That was the entire time. They never said they may be champion, somebody else or whoever. They were just like, nah, you're fighting Ben Finley.
Yeah, like, you know, anybody that they put against Finley, like, was getting smoked that night. Like, Goldberg got smoked. Like, and it wasn't like, you know, not so much like Goldberg where he's ending the match in like 5 minutes. Like, he'll wrestle these guys and make them look like $1 million, but then ultimately in the end, he'll just become and remain the champion. So, you know, that was a nice little side story that they had going on. And you know, Tony Schiavone and Brian Bobby the Brain, they just really put him over every time, every single time.
They're like, that's a dangerous man right there. This is like, that's really this. So back to the best of 7. It begins with, you know, Booker T being interviewed about being number 1 contender. Benoit comes out, interrupts him, punches him in the back of the head, and wow, like, I fucking hate you. I'm sick of you. And so it's a very heelish thing to do. And Stevie Ray pep talks Booker. He's like, you can't let that sucker do that. And it leads into this best of 7 series that begins on Nitro. And, you know, the first, Benoit whoops him with basically the crossface. And it seems like a strategy that Booker T can't get out the crossface. And it builds tension in each match that, oh shit, if he gets that crossface on Booker, it's all over.
It's clip. And in that first match, Benoit, like, you know, they had a great match. Like, you know what I'm saying? This was like, you know, one of those matches that you look forward to seeing on wrestling television, on any promotion at that time, whether it be WWF, where, like, you know, how X-Pac had matches with D'Lo Brown, you look forward to those matches. Or if you were watching ECW, see Rob Van Dam, Jerry Lynn, you look forward to that match. Like, you know, this was one of those matches that you looked forward to seeing on WCW.
Now, go ahead.
And Benoit did his damn thing in this first match. He just 11 minutes, freaking crossface, a few Germans, little headbutt. Booker T tried his the Harlem Hangover and then fucked up, and then
bang, locked him in. It's all over. Now, initially, I feel like each match was always a work. Like, not like it was a lot of work to get the crowd involved. I feel like the crowd was so into, if you're NWO, Wolfpack, or Goldberg, I'm not really going to react or cheer too much. I'm just going to sit down and watch. But every single one of these matches, as it went on, it starts very quiet, but then you hear the gradual crowd like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. I'm into this. And it was really, for me, the first sports-like feel of wrestling I've really had. Like, I know it felt like a sport all these years, but I feel like this is legit. When people say sports-like feel for a wrestling match, I go back to these matches because it did feel like I was watching something in the Major League playoffs, or, as they referenced multiple times, the NBA finals, because of the Karl Malone and Dennis Rodman connection. And it just seemed like this was a sport, and these were two people competing, and each match seemed to be similar but different each time, because they would keep adding different things and the backdrop of them knowing each other moves. And I thought that was just really cool how each match built on that, on each like participant. Like, even in the when we finally get to like the third one, which was the hardest one for me to find because it was
because it's on Saturday night. Like, you know, who's trying to find Saturday night matches? WCW 7.
On Peacock, you can get all the Thunder matches, you can get all the Nitro matches, but you can't get this third match that happened on WWE Saturday Night. It was the only one of the series on there. And it was like, oh, this is a really difficult one to get. And I believe this is when Booker got his first one, was on Saturday night? Because he had lost the first two, right?
No, the first one went to Benoit, the second one went to Booker, and then the third one went to Benoit.
Yeah. And so Booker's down. And at this point, Stevie Ray's coming out into these next matches, like time and again, like, you can't lose to this sucker. You can't lose to him. Get up. Get up.
Trying to motivate him from the side.
Motivate. Meanwhile, Booker T's unconscious every time he comes out. He's just beaten to hell. And it was one thing where in the matches where you could tell that it originally, like when they first start off all of this, in the draws and stuff, they don't know each other. Booker T is more of a greener wrestler or a solo wrestler. He's not like green, but he's more like he's just
he was in a tag team mindset doing single move stuff, and he was just trying to get his swing of things. Meanwhile, Benoit already had been to Japan multiple times over, did Best of the Super J Cup and all these great matches that he had in Japan, so he was well prepared. He's a member of the Four Horsemen. Men, for crying out loud. I almost said Four Horsewomen. Jesus Christ.
they've been honestly in my lifetime, I think I focused more on the Horsewomen than I did the Horsemen. Because the Horsemen was, a different generation, and each one didn't have the longest runs in my lifetime.
If I think of Benoit in a faction, I think of Revolution, which was like Benoit, Malenko, Shane Douglas, and Perry Saturn. I think the Radicals. I think of the Radicals, which was Perry Saturn, Dean Malenko, Benoit, and Guerrero. So, but not really the Four Horsemen. I do think of Dean Malenko as a Four Horseman, though. So
I think of them both because that's kind of how I was introduced to the Horsemen. I wasn't born in the 80s and seeing Ric Flair run roughshod in them.
I mean, like, so whenever I watch Flair, or when I first saw Flair and in the War Games matches, that's when I was introduced to Flair, like watching War Games matches. I mean, obviously I wasn't around when the War Games happened because that was like old as hell, like, during the early 80s. But when I was introduced to like a Ric Flair type, I had this VHS tape that had nothing but War Games matches on there. So I used to rinse and repeat that all the time. So I understood who the Four Horsemen was and stuff like that. So with Benoit and being in it, like, I already knew he was legit because the Horseman wasn't picking up scrubs at that time. And I lie because Steve McMichael was on the
but you know what I mean. He had the NFL recognition. He had NFL recognition and all and whatnot. And so, I didn't honestly care. I was all NWO for life and all that other stuff. But back to these matches. So we go on through. We eventually get tied at on Nitro. We get tied and they filter in the NWO into this one, and I feel like it was because they weren't sure of the interest in the match. Maybe the ratings were telling them something like, "Oh, when these guys wrestle, maybe people turn away." So they entered the NWO. Benoit being recruited by the black and white NWO as opposed to trying to join the Wolfpack or whatnot.
He dubbed both of them niggas.
He was like, "Nah, it's not for me." So on the 7th match, you have Eric Bischoff and Bret Hart watching along in this match, and then they try to assist Benoit into winning the match because Bret comes in, hits Booker with the chair, and then it shows character, respect, and I was like, oh shit, when Benoit just tells the ref, nah, he hit him with the chair, just DQ it, and it was like giving it up, like fuck, I was going to lose this thing. And
the Great American Bash 1998, for those that don't know, like that was the match. This is the match that we're talking about with Booker T and Benoit. Like, this was the one to win it all, and for it to end on some bullshit, like if it would have ended on some bullshit like that, then it would have just like there would be no more best of 7 anything.
We would not be talking about these matches today. Like if it ended with the 7th match ending with Bret Hart chair shot to the back of Booker's head, Benoit takes the cover, 1, 2, 3, everybody been upset, or whatever DQ would have happened if the ref did say, oh, Benoit, you're disqualified. But Booker comes out and says, hey, I don't want to win like that. I battled with you for weeks and most of this year, and
whole month,
finish this.
A whole month and a half. They were just going at it.
Yeah, this isn't even including the stuff they were doing earlier in the year. Like this started back in March when they were doing time limits. So we are he's like, I'm not gonna let it do. I have too much respect for this man, and I appreciate this. So at the Great American Bash, they're gonna have a rubber match. Match number 8. Winner fights Finley in the same night. And they go at it. Like it's a battle. You're anticipating. The crowd's really into this one. It's a pay-per-view, and it's just back and forth. And you honestly, at this point, don't know who's gonna win. And you're just like, shit, oh damn. Booker picks up the win and goes on to fight Finley. So what are your thoughts?
Not only fights Finley, but then ends up becoming the TV champion that we know him and love him for being.
Yeah.
So yeah, he ends up beating Finley that night too. I had a question and I freaking lost it.
Okay. No way. I feel time. Well, when I do best, I just ramble and I feel time. So things I thought they should have played up more. There was the Booker T was Benoit had worked on the leg in previous matches and had injured Booker T for the most part. And they only really bring it up into this final match. I kind of wish that it was something that was happening in the earlier matches where he's like tearing down his leg and whatnot. But the fact that he's going into the match with Finley injured, beat up, to going through basically Benoit's top tier offense of like every submission.
He had Benoit's 100% focus.
Yeah.
Focused Benoit, and he still picked up the victory. So yeah, that was pretty crazy at that time.
So, yeah, and I think watching all the matches together, you get the full story of this is about respect, the physicality, and that this really turned Booker T into such a better wrestler for working with Benoit and getting that mindset. Because even though they're probably similar in age at this point, Benoit had been working years in Japan and WCW and whatnot.
Mexico, fucking everywhere. Everywhere that Jericho went, Benoit was there with him.
Yeah. And key things I like to focus on this matchup, it wasn't like a match where they did a lot of tricks. There weren't any weapons. There were no table spots. They didn't really leave the ring. There was maybe a dive by Benoit every now and then, and Booker would do a crossbody dive or something. But during all of this, there wasn't anything that left the ring. They really just stayed in the ring within the rules of wrestling. No one went, like there were times when, you know, either Benoit will hold too long for the 4-second count or whatnot. But you saw the frustration of, I'm just trying to beat you clean in a wrestling match, and I can't do it. I just can't do it. And he couldn't hold Booker down, which was like, I was shocked. As a young black kid watching this, I never thought Booker was winning this. I'll be honest.
You thought Benoit with his long locks was about to win this. I had it on locks.
Yeah.
Watching this series or watching these matches, they were basically WCW and NWO revenge matches. Like, you know, if you were to play WCW and NWO revenge on the 64, that's the type of match, like, you know, playing with somebody, not the computer, but like against like your friend or your brother or whatever. Not that's the type of matches that they had for real, like on television. You're like, oh, okay, here we go.
They were advertising WCW versus NWO the game, and like the Raptors in there, and I said, oh, I remember that was my favorite wrestling game until I played WCW NWO Revenge. Oh, until I played this. They were great games. And like you said, it was like, oh, I know how this guy wrestles in this game. I could counter. I timed his lockup. I could do this and do that. And it just became really like, that's the way that game worked. And that's the way the series worked. And I think that without this series, Booker T wouldn't be, I mean, he probably would still probably get into a Hall of Fame, but as, you know, Harlem Heat or whatnot. But I think this propelled him into like, I can be the world champion. Like, TV title, be damned, this is a mid-card title, but I could probably become the world champion. And it made me believe, like, oh, shit, we may get a black world champion in WCW. When it happened, I honestly didn't care because WCW was dead to me.
I was just about to say, like, you know, Ron Simmons did this shit 10 years ago. Like, you know, 15 years ago, he beat Vader for the world title.
So you remember Ron Simmons, but it was so brief. It felt like it was something that was like really brief.
Well, it wasn't hyped up because, you know, around that time, Hulkamania was running wild, so like nobody cared about what was going down in WCW at that moment in time. And then I think that they thought of it as a joke because a black dude was, and it's unfortunate to say, but they let a black dude become world champion. That company's a fucking joke. Get out of here. Like,
that's like putting the title.
We got Hulk Hogan. They got Ron Simmons. Ron Simmons, damn, like get him out of here. At that time. But like you were saying, seeing Booker T win the series, which again I didn't think he was gonna win either. It made all of us believe that hey, maybe a black dude can be world champion. I mean, even though The Rock was already world champion by then or by now, or was on route to becoming world champ, I think this was like the time where it's like black world champions was a thing, because like The Rock was world champion. Eventually in 2000, like Booker T becomes world champion and stuff like that against Scott Steiner.
I can't recall if The Rock was world champion or about to be. He was in the main event though. He was in the main event.
He was on the cusp because he was winning intercontinental championships. The rivalry with him and Triple H, like the SummerSlams, ladder matches, and all that other stuff. But I believe I was listening to Booker T say on this podcast that the WCW one, not the WWE one, but this best of 7 made his career, and without it, he would have had to work even 10 times as hard, because like Benoit actually within those 7 matches showed or helped him propel him to a higher level, because he was good, but he propelled him to be great, and that's where he learned how to slow a match down or pick up the pace or how to get the attention from the crowd. And that's all due to the facet of the rules. Like, what I'm saying? Like it's fine. Oh, hit him with the kendo stick, that'll pop the crowd. Or it's fine if you do like a flip off the top of the rope, or, some oh my God moment, but they did it without it. And that's the best oh my gods that, you'll ever see.
At the time, when these series of matches are happy, wrestlers weren't doing these type of things. It was more seen as cruiserweight for being athletic and having like really good matches. It would just be big guys hitting each other, throwing punches, going back and forth or whatnot, keeping it slow. They're not all bad. There's some good ones, but it was a different time where Booker T was in that category. Okay, he's too big to be a cruiserweight. He's like 6'8". Fucking huge.
Shit, brick house, but he's too small to be the champ, because all these guys are dwarfing him because of steroids and whatnot.
So he's not yoked out of his mind. Like, he's big. Like, when you look at him, and I'm saying like, oh, Booker was fine, but when you had him next to like a Scott Steiner who was bleeding muscles,
got muscles in places where people don't have places, type shit.
Yeah, his eyelids had like a 6-pack and shit.
He has 3 traps. Just to
you got fucking Luger out there and Hogan and all these guys who are huge.
Hogan was past his fucking prime. I don't care.
Yeah, and smaller than he was in WWE, but still.
He was over the hill.
These people were all humongous, and Booker's like right now in between. And he was athletic like a cruiserweight, and he was learning technical wrestling from Benoit in the series. And I was looking at him and going like, man, if it wasn't for basically racism, Booker T should have been the top. He had the charisma, the athleticism, the in-ring work, the character. Like, it just seemed like something we could get behind. But it took that time in this series for people to actually see it, for Bischoff to see it and whatnot.
I mean, Eric Bischoff had a big problem with smaller guys anyway. I mean, like, if Booker T was put in the same position as Billy Kidman, for example, like, you remember the Billy Kidman, Hulk Hogan fucking thing. If Booker T was put in that position instead of Billy Kidman, he would have been a bigger star. He would have been the black DDP. You know what I'm saying? Like, he definitely, like, definitely for sure.
Yeah, he was already more talented than like DDP and stuff. Like, I understand when he became 5-time WCW champion, which became basically a running joke or whatnot, and a catchphrase. It was already past WCW's prime. It was the Vince Russo era and the Jeff Jarrett, and they're trying to bring Bischoff back and whatnot. And he just got caught up in
the vacant era, the Ready to Rumble era. Oh my God, David Arquette was the world champion. Oh.
Yeah, like he was caught up all in this horribleness of WCW, and I think they took some of the best years of Booker T and kind of ruined it by just that whole NWO, we need to do this, or swerve people, and just have all this ridiculous that had everybody tuned out of the program. And you know, these series of matches was like, damn, this could be that could have been for the world title, and no one would have batted an eye today. It was like Benoit, Booker T for the world title wouldn't have batted an eye.
Now they definitely would. And I mean, when they tried to reboot it in WWE, they definitely did. And this wasn't for the world title again, like, you know, hindered. Not like gender, not hindered like gender, but like, you know.
God damn you, Triple H, Booker T should have been champion.
Both of them were very hindered until they went to SmackDown and did this best of 7 for the US title. So
so we skipped to years later, 2005, circa the end of 2005, and carried on into 2006.
And I won't be denied. And all I've got left is my pride, and I will rise up.
So we skip ahead, and we're in this ruthless aggression era, which I think is the definitive best era of wrestling. It was the sweet spot.
I'm going to have to agree with you.
I mean, right now we're in a boom. Like, this is like, oh, we're in a really good spot right now. But this is a really good sweet spot of sports entertainment and wrestling.
The ruthless aggression era, right, was like you said, it was the sweet spot between, all right, we're getting rid of guys like The Rock, Stone Cold. They're like dwindling down. You got guys like Shawn Michaels coming back. Bret Hart left. Freaking the NWO's old, this old news and whatever not. You got a young Brock Lesnar, you got a young Randy Orton, you've got a Kurt Angle who's fresh and before Perk Angle.
Well, he's in it, but it's not as bad.
you know what I'm saying? You got Benoit at his peak, Guerrero at his peak, you got freaking a Batista on the rise, you got a Cena on the rise, there's so many new different stars mixed with old stars that could still go. The Rob Van Dams, Jeff Hardys, Matt Hardys, like all these people that the emergence of MVP, the like Carlito is coming,
Anderson and stuff like that. We have all these people, and it's at that point of, okay, we're going to take the wrestling more serious. Then we're having longer matches, and we're going to also still give you that insane entertainment at the same time. Because at the same time, this best of 7 series is happening. Batista is your world champion, teaming with Rey Mysterio, as much as Vince loved, champion and challenger.
I thought you were my friend.
Yeah. Well, this is before that. This is way before after. That's after. He strangles and kills him. And they are fighting like Eminem and Melina suing Batista for sexual harassment. They still have all this crazy entertainment stuff. And then on the backdrop, you have Booker T and Chris Benoit, who are now sports entertainers at this point. This, like, at WCW, it was wrestling. Booker T, with now his wife, Miss Black America Charmel, are a menace in that mid-card of just comedy, serious, and just like, you can see the seeds of King Booker being laid and stuff right here.
King Booker!
And so, when I first heard this, I was like, oh, they're just going to do the WCW thing. That's played. We've done this already. But then we get to the first match. It's like, these are two different wrestlers from when they were. Booker is so much better and quicker and smarter. Benoit is even more aggressive and hitting people and knows his sweet spot. Like, oh, I don't have to do this. And he's even doing the diving headbutt differently in WWE, where he's protecting himself. In WCW, he went full head first and knocked himself out. Like,
he just said,
like, oh. Like when he first did, I went, "Are you crazy?" And then I see this one, I go, someone talked to him, was like, you don't have to knock yourself out in every match.
I know that Booker T's chest was mincemeat at the end of this first couple matches that he had with Benoit in WWE because he chopped the fuck out of Booker T.
Yes.
He chopped there's certain wrestlers that you do not want to take chops from, Ric Flair, Big Show. Benoit was one of them niggas because
he was the guy. Like before, you got to people who like I thought had hard chops, like Roderick Strong or Bryan Danielson or
Holly,
some of these Japanese dudes, Hardcore Holly,
Kojima,
Nagata. Yeah, all these guys. Benoit's chop was the one that I went, oh my God. He was trying to kill me.
Holy fuck.
And so with Booker, who is as we described, a black man who's very dark skinned. If you're able to see the welts and beating on him like that, you going, fuck, how hard is he hitting him?
He's killing his chest.
He's killing him.
He made that shit the hamburger meat, bro.
Yeah.
God damn.
In this series, what I like, which I'm going to say, I think I like more, even though I enjoyed the WCW one a lot, and the 1998 match and all that, and that's the one we're mostly focused on. 2005 was so entertaining, and it's a shame what happens in the middle of this, but it's still like the story was so sound, and it wasn't about respect, it was about disrespect and all that. And Booker constantly cheating in every match and trying to get away with it, coming up with excuses not to wrestle to Teddy. Oh, we need to call it off. And then going up, making Benoit the underdog in this one, going up 3-0, where Benoit is desperate at, I believe it was Armageddon, to get his first win. And it leads us to the next night on SmackDown or the next SmackDown episode, where Booker's injured. He has pulled his groin or whatnot and cannot compete. And he needs to find a substitute. And Benoit's going, I don't want to get the title handed to me. I want to win the title from him. I want to win the title. I don't want to hand it to. As opposed to Booker was like, I'm up 3-1. It's over. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Victory goes to the person who's injured, which didn't make sense. They find a substitute. Orlando Jordan throws his hand in there. Oh, who I haven't thought about in years.
He gets smoked, son. My boy gets smoked in seconds.
Yeah, they were like, hell no. It was the last time you fought Benoit. He beat you in 8 seconds. He beat you in 8 seconds. And then you go to a very young Randy Orton, who's fresh off a Hell in a Cell with The Undertaker, fresh off of his dad being beaten to death in the Hell in a Cell by The Undertaker. And this, now remember that whole thing caused a controversy of his
have been talking shit.
Yeah. So Booker goes to Randy Orton and like just, yeah, I know you beat up, but you need this and this. I give you the glory. I give you all the glory. You need to come back because you got your ass whooped by The Undertaker. And so Randy Orton is like, fuck it, I'm down. And they're having a match, and Benoit, again, I feel like made Randy Orton a better wrestler at this point. This is when I started to appreciate Randy Orton as a wrestler and not just, oh, he's a young guy about to earn his footing. Yes, he's been world champion. Yes, he's fought Undertaker and Mick Foley and whatnot, and he's the legend killer. But I didn't take him serious as a wrestler. Like, I didn't care until these matches because I thought Benoit did the same thing that he did with Booker T in the original matches with Randy Orton for these last 3.
I think Benoit basically told Randy to give him the solid because of the push that when Benoit won the Royal Rumble and had the title, it was Randy Orton who took the title off of Benoit at SummerSlam that year. So, and nobody, like, I forget how Randy got the number 1 contender spot, but nobody thought Randy was gonna win the title that night. And wow.
Yeah. He just
wow.
on there and then Batista pop.
Nobody knew that shit. I couldn't have seen that. So I think this instant Benoit was like, yeah, you better do me the fucking solid because I made you a star, you bitch.
Yeah. They have some hellified matches, and I enjoyed the logic of because think about it this way: as a wrestler, the story is already Booker's up 3-1 or 3-0, and then he gets 3-1, and then they're trying to tell the story of Benoit coming back and winning. Imagine being told as a wrestler, I need you to job 4 straight times to Benoit, or 3 straight times to Benoit, 4. And they do the smart thing of like, Randy Orton didn't really take any pins. He didn't take a single pin, where there were always these random DQs that they plan to seize throughout. Like Booker T's on commentary in the first match, and Sharmel's there, and she thinks Randy Orton's about to tap. Randy's like, I got this, but she hits Benoit with the crutch. The ref sees it, DQs him.
And
Second match,
that's a fall, and oh damn, fuck. So nobody looked weak at the end of it. Nobody looked weak at the end of it.
You don't know if Orton could have got out of the crossface, and he does in the next match. In the next match, he gets out of the crossface, and Sharpmel's like, oh, we should have let him cook. We should have let him cook. He knows how to get out. At the same time, at all this, you get Booker T's random commentary. This is the beginning of Booker's commentary. Black Snow and all that.
Black Snow.
And so the next match, they had already talked shit about Orlando Jordan weeks prior, and then on the same episode, they talk shit about him again. And he's like, I'll show you. And then he comes out there and hits Benoit, and it costs Booker T the match again, and it's now tied 3-3 going into SmackDown the next week, where Booker T comes out there as support, but he gets barred from ringside after Benoit does an Eddie Guerrero trick of saying, like, he hit me with the crutch. And he gets tossed. There's a referee getting knocked out in the middle of this. Booker and them comes back. Booker eventually hits Benoit with the U.S. title, knocking him out. Randy Orton gets the pin. On a side note of all of this, Batista has to relinquish his title, and Randy Orton's already upset that he couldn't compete into the Battle Royal at 100% to become world champion because he had commitments with this match. Where's the layered storytelling of today like this?
So much underlining stuff. One thing leads to another, which leads to another, which causes something to happen. And that's how pro wrestling should work all the time. All the time. AEW right now is trying to do shit like this, but they suck at it. They suck at doing it like this. I didn't say that they suck at doing it. I said they suck at doing it like this. They have to do it differently.
Yeah, they have ADD or something where they forget that they're doing stuff, and then they come back to it like a month and a half later. I still haven't got an end to Keith Lee. And by the time this shows, I'm sure we still haven't had an end to Keith Lee.
Keith Lee got hurt. Yep. I want to see Swerve Keith, but Swerve is on bigger playing field now.
Yep. It's already too late.
To the point where Hook is looking at freaking world title shots. Like, what are we doing here?
I swear I'm gonna have to put a caption at the time of this recording. Hook is now the world champion. But I believe I'm safe to say he lost this match. He lost that match. Hell of a match, kid. But you lost. So my question for you, Jamal, after talking about this whole series, I know this is a top 100 matches, but I think this rivalry is just one big long match. It feels like to me, like it just tells such a great story of history from the WCW all the way to WWE and the different types of styles they would do their shows and whatnot. And I think it's something worth revisiting for all wrestling fans in general, the whole series, not just the one match. I know we're talking about Great American Bash 98 as the match to watch, but I can pick any of these WWE matches or any of the other
especially the one where freaking Benoit makes mincemeat out of Booker T's chest.
Yeah, and Armageddon. Yeah, the Armageddon one I think might be my favorite because that was like, fuck, they went hard. Jeez. If you were to do a best of 7 series today, what 2 wrestlers would you want to see?
I could pick anybody.
Anybody in any wrestling promotion and anything, dream match, whatever you want to do.
I would love to see. Shit, man. it's difficult because
shit man and who?
I mean, shit man and Swerve could do a best of 7. Like, the story's there, but I'm talking about Adam Page, like, you know, not,
yeah.
I'm talking about Adam Page and Swerve could do a best of 7 just to see who could fight Samoa Joe or some shit like that. Adam Cole and MJF could do a run back like best of 7. That could be pretty awesome. Gunther and shit, you know, somebody.
Yep.
Gunther and anybody.
Yeah, wherever you go, Gunther, like, I feel like every match was like, you know what I want to see? Gunther, and it's always a Gunther, and it could be anybody.
It could literally be anybody. Like, whether it's Dragunov, whether it's Bait Dunn, Sheamus, Gunther and Sheamus could go. Gunther and Drew, like, best of 7, like, that would be dope. A Drew and Sheamus for a best of 7, like, you know what I'm saying? Brock Bobby best of 7, like, legit, not Roman interference, like, you know, that'll be pretty cool. Yeah, there's just a plethora, like, you know, Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes could go do that shit again, like, run that shit back. Trick and Melo, after all this is said and done, we know that fucking Carmelo Hayes beat the hell out of Trick Williams or hit that nigga. Let's stop the cap. Let's stop it. It's over. Like, we know they're gonna win the Dusty Cup. He's gonna turn on him. He's gonna go to SmackDown, and Trick Williams is gonna go to SmackDown, and then it's gonna be like, Well,
they're gonna have to do the anonymous tape or whatnot of the breakup.
So,
because the way he looked at him and he was like, that tag team, you can't be the first tag team and world champion, Trick. You ain't shit. That's the way Mello looked, and I was like, I gotta kill you, Mello. But or I gotta kill you, Trick. If I were to do it today, I would definitely go with, you know, I know they're done technically, but I think it's one of the best modern rivalries. Okada and Ospreay can really do the damn thing, even though they're about to be separate, and they've had numerous matches already together. About to tell a great story.
I mean, if anything, you could put Ospreay versus Danielson in the best of 7, right? Or even Danielson and Okada in the best of 7. The match that needs to happen in the best of 7 so he could truly finish his story is freaking Cody and Shinsuke. That needs to be a the promos that Shinsuke will cut, man. And we're not even talking about the ladies here, man. Like, you know, I think that Bailey with anybody could do a best of 7, you know. I
would like to see Nia Jax and Becky Lynch do best of 7. Like, they've already established that Nia has her basically number when she beat her and knocked her out on Raw previously.
With the MK uppercut. Get up.
Like, Becky being the underdog, going down whatever 2 or 3-0 and finding new ways to win. And I think it would make Nia a better wrestler and whatnot. But, you know, Bianca would be another person who I would like to see. Maybe Bianca and Charlotte or Bianca Rhea. Best of 7.
Tony Storm and Saraya could do a good best of 7, and the story.
Saraya,
yeah, the story is there for that.
I thought she was still retired.
No, Paige is retired. Saraya's wrestling. Okay,
that's still to be determined. When you see her go out there and go like, that's it. No, but in the women's front on AEW, Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker. Seems like a rivalry, but I don't think they can get along enough. I don't think they get along enough.
Jamie Hayter and Tony Storm could do a good best of 7.
Yeah, there's a few. And, you know, back to the men and stuff. The modern day Benoit versus Booker T is clearly Trick and Dragunov, right? That's where we're at right now with them. Trick being the young upstart, not getting used to singles and all, and Dragunov being a world champion, fully physical, violent, dangerous human being. I feel like that's the exact equivalent. Whenever you see Trick, he wrestles pretty much like young Booker T, and Booker T in general. And maybe like they would tear each other up. How do I wrap this up? Let's see. So that concludes our discussion on the greatest best of 7, if there should be. Is there anything else you would like to add to either one of these matches or future best of 7s or anything like that, or rivalries?
I think that the best of 7 should be for titles, not number 1 contenderships, but for actual title matches. Let us know who would you have in your best of 7? What matches would you have in your best of 7? Do you want to see a trios best of 7? New Japan, I'm looking at you. Ring of Honor, I'm looking at you. Trios best of 7. Do you want to see tag teams? Do you want to see women do it? Do you want to see, midgets do it? Like, I don't know. Like, you want El Torito versus freaking.
I'm not bringing up El Torito again. Micro Man. But whatever you want to see, we sure will talk about it on this channel. So, or on the Mid-Card Mess podcast, which is this way. If you look down right below Jamal right here, you follow for more information and all topics that concern the world of professional wrestling. Or you can find me, who's here every single day of the week, it seems like, talking about some types of wrestling, whether it's Monday, Tuesday, not Monday, not Sunday, but maybe Monday, Tuesday. You may catch me Tuesday, Thursday for sure for the Untitled Man in the Market show, and Saturday as well for the show. So we will see you guys next week. Who knows what the next match will be in our top 100? Who knows? But I'm sure it will be something to talk about. We'll see you guys next week.